The choice in this election could not be more simple. A Republican Congress means more jobs and less crime. That's not bad. Think of that, how beautiful. More jobs, less crime. How nice. How nice. So how do you get elected when you go, let's say, less crime? Hey, folks, it's very simple. We got to stop the crime. We got to close up the borders. We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally and they have to come in through merit. They have to come in through merit. And by the way, at 3.7% unemployment, a 50-year low, we need people to come in because we have companies coming back into our country. Some of them left years ago, and they're coming back into Indiana and Michigan and Ohio and North Carolina and South Carolina and Pennsylvania and Florida and every state. They're pouring back in because you know what? As two of the executives told me 2 days ago, we want to be where the action is. That's right. We have the economy. We have now the hottest economy in the world. When did you hear that last? So this Tuesday, vote Republican. We are thrilled to be joined tonight by an Indiana legend, a man who's become a friend of mine, who truly knows what winning is all about. And I have to tell you this quick story. Look, it's Bobby Knight. He's the greatest, okay? But I have to tell you. So before I ran, but my name was being thrown out, I get a call. I told a little bit. Maybe you heard this, but it's a great story. I get a call, and my secretary comes in. Sir, do you know somebody named Bobby Knight? I said, well, I don't know him, but I know of him. He's a great, great coach. If it's the same guy, but it's probably not. So find out. They say, yes, sir, it's the coach. I said, let me check it. So, you get a lot of crank calls. So I figure maybe it's 90% a crank call. I pick up. Hello, Trump? This is Bobby Knight. I said, that's him. Nobody could imitate that. Nobody. It's Bobby Knight, and you got to run for president. I said, well, I'm thinking about it. It was a year before. I'm thinking about it, but he said, you got to run. You'll do better. You're the only one going to turn this ship around. You got to run for president. I said, you know what, Bobby? If you could, I am thinking about it, Bobby, seriously. And if you could, how about giving me your number and I'll call you if I decide to do it. Especially when I come to campaign in a place called Indiana, right? Right? So I said, Bobby, could you give me the number? And he gives me the number. I write it down, and I write it down, and I put it. And on my desk, I'm a hard worker. I have a lot of stuff. I'm doing deals all over the places before this whole political thing got started. And I have 2 or 3 piles of stacks of paper. They're like 2 or 3 feet high each. I write his number. I put it in the pile. A year goes by, and now I'm running, and I'm doing well. I never left center stage. Do you know what that means? That means in the debates. We never lost a debate. We never lost center stage. Some of the guys were being pushed left. They were being pushed right. We never lost center stage, right? And I always said to the people running the debates, I want an odd number because I'm in center. And I don't want to have an even number because then 2 people are in center, right? But I never left center stage. And I'm doing well, and I'm going. And we had some competition, but it was fine, and everything's good. And now I'm getting ready to come to a place called Indiana. And a friend of mine who's also a great friend of Mike Pence calls me and said, you're doing really well in Indiana. You're going to blow everyone away. But do you ever know a guy named Bobby Knight? And I said, yeah, I don't know him, but he called me about a year ago. And he really wanted me to run. He said, well, if you could ever get Bobby Knight's endorsement, you would absolutely seal the great state of Indiana. So I'm at my desk, and I have these stacks, and honestly, there are thousands of pages. I can't even tell you. I have this massive desk because it keeps a lot of stuff, and they're just thousands of pages. And I hung up, I said, let me see if I can find his number. I remember I wrote it down, I put it over here. Let me just see if I can find his number. And I go over here, and I take stack number 1, which is literally 2 or 3 feet up in the air. Pages, thousands. And I go, let me see. And I lift it in the middle. And there's this little index card. And it says Bobby Knight and the phone number. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. And then I look up and I say, thank you, God, thank you. That was from God. That's amazing. I didn't look. I didn't like thumb through. I just lifted it up, and there it was. It was the craziest thing. Anyway, I call up Bobby Knight. Ding, ding, ding. He picks up. I go, Bobby? He says, I've been waiting for you to call. And that was the beginning of a great romance. It really was. He is a tough cookie. And you know what? I just took out something. I said, look, we all know he's a great coach, but we don't even know how great a coach. Bobby Knight, as you know, he coached in a place called Indiana. I won't ask you how it's doing since he left. I won't ask. But it's going to do well. And I hear you have a very good coach. I do. I hear you have a very good coach now. Is that true? I hear you have a very good coach. But he coached the U.S. Olympic team in 1984, won the gold medal. He won 3 NCAA titles at a place called the University of Indiana. He was put in the Hall of Fame in 1991. Bobby Knight was the last coach to have an undefeated season. And that surprises me. Is that true? That surprises me. And I asked Bobby, I just asked him, I said, why is that? How come you'd think with all, you have some of these teams, they're great. The guys leave as freshmen, they go, they play in the NBA, and they're great. Why? I said, no. You play so many games, 30, 32 games, you go in the playoffs. He said, if one guy has a little bit of a cold hand, you lose the game. Or if one guy has a hot hand for a good team, you could lose the game. You play a lot of games. Because that surprised me. The last coach to have an undefeated team. And by the way, I told Bobby, if you want Bobby, this has nothing to do with politics, but it's interesting because I think most of you people like sports and most of you people, you're Indiana, you like basketball. I said, if he wants, he can tell the Larry Bird story because it's a great story. I like Larry Bird. I don't know if he likes me, but I don't really care. I think Larry Bird was a great basketball player. Do we agree? I think we agree. But he has a great Larry Bird story. But listen to this. Bobby Knight won 902 games. He's 3rd all time. This guy, and I'll tell you, he could have gone years longer. He is a tremendous guy. But he was with me before I started. You understand. He was with me literally right from the beginning. And I'd like to ask the great Bobby Knight to come up. Thank you.
I want to thank all you people from Indiana because we won a hell of a lot of games with Indianapolis. You know, there was a great president many years ago, Harry Truman. The American public got a little thing to let him know how much they appreciated it. It was something called, like, give 'em hell, Harry. Give 'em hell, Harry. And I'd like you to join with me in saying something. No, he's already given 'em hell. I want to join me in saying something else. Just like they said it to Harry Truman, who was a great president, and so is he. And what I want you to say is very simply this: go get 'em, Donald. 1, 2, go get 'em, Donald. 3, go get 'em, Donald. One thing I would have done, it takes great defense to win in basketball. Great defense. I think I'd have had to wait on Donald for a little while until he became a great defender. And that's what he's been. He's been a great defender of the United States of America.
What a great guy. Winner. He's a winner. We like winners, right, Governor? We like winners. Well, that's special. You know, don't tell Bobby, but he left his pad up here and his pen. I'm going to keep it because I can sell it for a lot of money. Thank you very much. A lot of love in this room, a lot of love in this state. We are honored to be joined tonight by many terrific Indiana Republicans, including a man who has done an incredible job, and it's not easy to follow Mike Pence. Governor Eric Holcomb, you have done a great job, Governor. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Great job, Eric. And a congressman who I've gotten to know, and he has a great style. He is a gentleman. He is a champion. Todd Rokita. He's here. Where is Todd? Where is he? Thanks, Todd. Great job, Todd. Thank you. Thank you. And with us tonight are two terrific Republican candidates. Please get them in office. Please go out and vote. They're terrific. Jim Baird and Greg Pence. Does anybody know Greg Pence? Thanks. Thank you, fellas. Thanks, Greg. have good genes in the Pence family, don't they? If you don't want to be saying the words Speaker Pelosi for the next 2 years, you got to go out and vote for Greg and Jim and a Republican Congress. We need it. It's going to be a very interesting day. Tuesday is going to be a very interesting day. They're not going to beat the day from 2 years ago, but it's going to be interesting nevertheless. Was that a great time we had 2 years ago? Finally, I'm proud to introduce the next United States Senator. I'll tell you, before I bring him up, I just want to say that Mike Braun is not a career politician. He's a very successful businessman and a patriot who will fight every single day of his life for the people of Indiana. He's a fighter. He's a winner. Very successful guy. He's a very successful guy. He didn't need this. I didn't need it either, by the way. But we're having fun. You know why? We're winning. We're winning. Mike Braun is tough on crime, great on jobs, and he will always support our wonderful vets, our military, and our law enforcement, our police. And a vote for Mike's opponent, Joe Donnelly, is a vote to make crying Chuck Schumer the Senate Majority Leader. We can't do that. Can't do that. A vote for any Democrat this November is a vote to put the radical Democrats in charge of the House, the Senate, and every congressional committee. That's not good for Indiana. It's not good for our country. And according to the Center for Effective Lawmaking, listen to this. You have to listen to this. It's very important. Joe Donnelly has been rated the least effective Democrat in the United States Senate. Think of that. Rated the least effective, and that's why they call him Sleeping Joe. You got to get out. Just get out and vote. We don't have to do this. Just get out and vote. Joe Donnelly voted against your tax cuts, and he joined the Democrat mob to vote against Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And nobody was ever abused like then Judge Kavanaugh. Nobody was ever abused. What they did to him, what the Democrats did to him, is a disgrace. But he's going to be on the bench now. He's going to be in the United States Supreme Court, along with Justice Gorsuch, for many, many years. Donnelly voted to give free welfare to illegals, and he joined every single other Senate Democrat to sponsor Dianne Feinstein's open border bill. You remember her, right? The people of Indiana do not have a one-week memory cycle. In fact, the people of Indiana have about a 60-year memory cycle. Dianne Feinstein, remember that? Was that horrible? Were you leaking? Did you leak it? Right? John Cornyn said, did you leak it? No. No, I don't think so. Did we leak it? No, you didn't leak it. Oh, no, we didn't leak it. That was the worst body language. John Cornyn, one simple question. Did you leak it? And she choked. No, I don't think so. Well, in other words, she leaked it, right? She leaked it. She leaked it. But that was a disgrace, what we watched up there. Right? What we watched up there. It's no surprise that Joe Donnelly is holding a rally this weekend with Barack Obama. Barack Obama. I watched him speak today. He had a very small crowd. They don't talk about that. And they never talk about how big our crowds are. Never. I always say, when I get home to our First Lady Melania, who's great, you think she's great. People love our First Lady. And you think it's easy to be First Lady when you're married to me? You think it's easy? People love our First Lady. And I always say, honey, let me ask you, how did the crowd look tonight? They didn't show it. I said, oh. But she said, but the sound is amazing. The sound. You know, like in Houston, we had 22,000 people in the arena, thousands outside for Ted Cruz. He's doing well. You don't hear about it anymore, right? Remember? He was in a little trouble. We had the rally. You haven't heard that anymore. He's doing great. They're all doing great. Mike Braun is doing great. Mike Braun is doing great. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll ask the media to turn that camera and show them this room, please. Would you do that? They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They don't like to turn the camera. You know, when I first started, we had big crowds. Lists like center stage, we had big crowds right from the beginning. When I first started, I thought that the cameras were like fixed. They couldn't turn. You know, because it's like modern equipment and maybe it can't turn because it's got so much stuff and who knows, and they would never turn it. And then we had a couple of people that were a little noisy, you know. They caused a little problem, and they were back in like a corner. And that camera turned like a pretzel, and that's when I realized. Because they wanted to make us look bad, and when they had a little bit of a problem in a little corner of the room, that sucker, I've never seen a camera turned at that angle, upside down and backwards. Upside down. Oh, what they can do with that modern equipment. And I went for 4 rallies, and I said, the reason is, the cameras cannot turn. We were wrong. So Obama gave a rally in front of a very small group of people today. And in the rally, he talked about honesty, how he has to be honest. But he talked about you can have your plan, you can have your doctor. How many times did he say that? 28 times, right? He doesn't talk about that, and we could go into it, but let's stay pleasant, right? Let's stay pleasant. Because we don't want to go back to the Obama days of low wages, high unemployment, rising crime, open borders, far left judges, oppressive regulations, horrible, horrible, horrible trade deals, disastrous foreign policy. Look at the mess I inherited in North Korea, and look at how well we're doing now. And terrible health care. If you want prosperity for your family, safety for your children, and security for your country, vote for Mike Braun. Mike, come on up. Mike Braun. Come on up, Mike.
So, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be on a stage with the President of the United States, the VP, and Bobby Knight. How can it get any better? Only in America, only in Indiana. When I decided to do this 14 and a half months ago, I never would have done it, would not have wasted my time if this man did not do what he did. My wife and family are right over there, but I'll never forget the night. I did turn the TV off at 2:15. I thought it might go later. Went to bed. I'd only get 5 to 6 hours of sleep. That's all I need. Not as good as the Prez here. I know he gets by on less. But I'll never forget getting up that next morning. And when I saw on the TV, President-elect Trump. That's the reason I'm here. If it hadn't happened, I'd be hunkered down in southern Indiana wondering how to survive. Thank goodness. So, my opponent, who calls himself the hired help, I think you need to do more than that to deserve to be reelected. Thank you. He's the least effective Democratic senator. Sounds like the tired help. He takes all his marching orders from Chuck Schumer. Let's make him the fired help. Let's retire Joe Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Very successful guy. Did a great job, and this is what he wants to do, and he's going to be very successful at doing what you want to do, which is a lot of great things. So I just want to thank you. And, Mike, we want to thank you for doing this because it's not easy. It's not easy. Thank you, Mike. If Democrats get the majority, one of their first projects will be the socialist takeover of American health care. The Democrat plan would obliterate Medicare and eliminate Medicare Advantage for more than 360,000 Indiana seniors who totally depend on it. Republicans will protect Medicare for our great seniors who earned it and, frankly, have paid for it. And Republicans will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Democrats' plan to destroy health care also includes raiding Medicare to fund benefits for illegal immigrants. I'm sure you don't mind. Does anybody mind? Nobody minds, right? As we speak, Democrats are openly encouraging millions of illegal aliens to violate our laws, overrun our borders, and totally bankrupt our country, because that's what's going to end up. They want to sign illegal aliens up for free health care, free welfare, free education. But what do they really want? They want them to vote because they're going to vote for the Democrat. Illegal immigration costs American taxpayers more than $100 billion every single year, more than 3 times the entire state budget of Indiana. We need to use our precious resources to help our fellow Americans who respect our laws, not illegal caravans who break into our borders and break our laws. Democrat immigration policies not only drain our treasury, but they threaten our communities. Nearly 100% of heroin in the United States enters through the southern border, along with roughly 90% of the cocaine, the majority of meth, and a substantial portion of the ultra-lethal fentanyl killing our youth all over our country. These drugs destroy the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans, and 70,000 Americans every year die from these drugs. Last year alone, our brave ICE officers arrested, listen to this number, more than 127,000 criminal aliens, and they want to get rid of ICE. Can you imagine? Yet Democrats want to abolish ICE. They want to get rid of ICE. These are great patriots. These are great people. These are people that do a job that nobody in this room wants to do. I don't want to do it. How about you? This guy could do it, I think. But there aren't too many. They want to turn America into a giant sanctuary for violent predators and MS-13 killers. A blue wave would equal a crime wave, very simple. And a red wave equals jobs and security. Republicans believe our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. And Republicans will always stand with the heroes of ICE, Border Patrol, and law enforcement. Border security is also a woman's issue. Women want safe neighborhoods for their families, great schools and health care for their children, and they want criminals to be thrown in jail or thrown the hell out of our country. Remember during the election, my election, 16, they were saying, well, I don't think he's going to do well with women. I love women. They're the greatest. I like them much more than I like the men. But I love. And here's the thing. And then remember after we won, they came in, they didn't know what was going on. They were devastated. They said, he did unbelievably well with women. What happened, women? And now they're saying the same thing. They're saying, but they say it weakly, because they want to say it quickly, get it over with. I don't think he'll do well with women. But we tried this one 2 years ago. That didn't work out too well. We did so well. And we're going to do well with women again because they do want security. They want security. They don't want these people coming into our country. You just saw the report that was put out. In the caravan, more than 300 people have criminal records and have serious problems that we don't want to get involved with, folks. And we want people coming in, but they have to come in legally. I'm sorry. This election is about security, and this election is about prosperity. For years you watched as we let foreign countries plunder our wealth, shutter our factories, and steal our jobs. But those days, if you haven't noticed, are over. We have added 500,000 manufacturing jobs since the election, soon to go to 600,000. Including 32,000 manufacturing jobs in just the last month. And do you remember the previous administration? We're not going to get manufacturing jobs anymore. I said, really? Tell that to your great governor. Tell that to your great governor, right? You're getting them here, Governor, aren't you, huh? And these are the great jobs. These are great jobs. High-paying jobs, talented people. I recently announced that we are replacing the horrible NAFTA deal, one of the worst trade deals, with an incredible brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. The USMCA is a giant victory for Indiana farmers, manufacturers, and dairy producers. You know how good it is. Great. It's great. And every time they said no, I said, that's okay, we'll just tariff your cars coming in. They said, okay, we'll give you that point. We have taken the toughest ever action to crack down on China's very abusive trade practices. And I spoke to President Xi today. They want to make a deal, but we have to have a fair deal. We have to have a deal that's fair for the United States. And China has to open up their borders for our companies. By the way, America is being respected again. Do you notice? America is being respected again. But every day with us, it's promises made, promises kept. And actually, we made a lot of promises, but we did a lot better than those promises. We have actually performed a lot better than even the promises we made. We have taken bold action to reduce the price of prescription drugs. You're going to see that. You've already seen it. To help critically ill patients get life-saving treatments, we passed something that they've been trying to pass for many decades. It's called Right to Try, where they can try our drugs that are looking promising, that are in our pipeline, right? Hopefully you don't have to worry about that. Hopefully there's nobody in this room that's going to have to worry about that. But it's a great thing for people. And by the way, some incredible stories, some incredible results already. After years of surging premiums, the cost of health care is finally coming down, and you see that. And by the way, we got rid of the mandate, right? We got rid of the individual mandate, folks. The most unpopular part. And we've decimated Obamacare, and now we're managing it properly, and your premiums aren't going up nearly as fast, but getting rid of the individual mandate, so many people have thanked me. You had the privilege of paying a fortune in order to have the privilege of not having to pay a fortune for bad health care, right? Not too good. Not too good. Not too good. It's gone. You don't have to pay not to have health care. Think of it. You're paying not to have health care. Great, great. And last month, I proudly signed the largest bill to fight the opioid epidemic in American history. We passed Veterans' Choice, giving our veterans the right to see a private doctor, and the landmark accountability law for the veterans to ensure anyone who mistreats our veterans can be accountable. And immediately we look at that person and we say, you're fired, get out of here. We secured $700 billion and $716 billion to fully rebuild the United States military. And we gave our great warriors their largest pay raise in more than a decade. And they deserve it. And on my direction and working with Mike Pence, the Pentagon is now working to create the sixth branch of the American Armed Forces called the Space Force. Very much needed. Very much needed. That's where it's at. That's where it's all going. Defense, offense, that's where it's all going. I withdrew the United States from the horrible one-sided Iran nuclear deal. And just today we announced that we are reimposing all sanctions lifted under that ridiculous deal that should have never been signed in the first place. We will have in place the toughest ever sanctions on this brutal Iranian regime. And at some point, they're going to get very smart, and they're going to come back and negotiate a real deal, a fair deal, and a deal that lets them thrive. We want them to thrive. We have recognized the capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Together, we have made extraordinary progress, and we are just getting started. But the Democrats want to turn back the clock, put America in reverse, and give power back to a corrupt, selfish ruling class that only looks out for themselves. I know them well. But we are not going back. We're not going back. We're going forward. I need you to vote for a Republican House and a Republican Senate so we can continue this incredible movement, the greatest political movement in the history of our country. It is. And if it wasn't, and I said that, I'd have a lot of problems back then. It is the greatest movement in the history. Think of it. And it's about you. It's not about me. It's about you. Although I didn't do a bad job, right? Not bad. Not a bad job. It's about you. He says, keep winning. We're going to keep winning. This is a movement built on love for our nation and love for our fellow citizens. And with your votes, we will keep on cutting your taxes, reducing your regulations, and raising your incomes. We will protect Medicare and Social Security. And you remember on the debate stage, I would always defend Social Security when other guys wanted to tear it apart. Well, guess what? We haven't touched Social Security. We will defend your right to free speech, religious liberty, and we will continue to confirm judges who will interpret the Constitution as written. We will fully secure the border. We will pass Kate's Law. We will stop sanctuary cities, stop catch and release, end the visa lottery, end chain migration, and we will keep the criminals, drug dealers, and terrorists the hell out of our country. We will lift millions of our citizens from welfare to work, dependence to independence, and poverty to prosperity. For years you watched as your leaders apologized for America. You know it well. Now you have a president who is standing up for America, and I always will. We are standing up for your values. We are standing up for Indiana, and we are proudly standing up for our great national anthem. I am asking every citizen from every party and every background and every race and color and creed for your support so we can continue to deliver hope, opportunity, and justice for all Americans. I need you to get your family, get your friends, get your neighbors, get your coworkers, and go out and vote Republican. This Tuesday, I need the people of Indiana to send a message to Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, and the radical Democrats by voting for Mike Braun. He will be a winner. He will be a winner. Remember, your senator that you currently have Sleeping Joe, last. He was last on the list. Last. He was last on the list. Remember that when you walk into the booth. I'm really speaking more to the television cameras than to you, because I don't think we have too many Donnelly voters. Anybody going to vote for Donnelly in this? Oh, no. Not too many, Governor. I don't see any. Loyal citizens like you help build this country. And together we are taking back our country, returning power to you, the American people. This great state was built by some of the toughest men and strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. These proud Indiana patriots braved the wilderness and defied the dangers to build a life and a home with their own two hands. They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of luxury. But they all had one thing in common. They loved their families. You know that. You do know that. They loved their families. What else did they love? They loved their country. And they loved their God. These courageous Americans did not shed their blood, their sweat, and their tears so that we could sit at home while others tried to erase their legacy, tear down our history, and destroy our proud American heritage. That's what it is. It's a proud American heritage. For the sake of our freedom and for the sake of our children, we are going to work, we are going to fight, and we are going to win, win, win. We will not bend, we will not break, we will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will never surrender. And we will always fight on to victory, always. Because we are Americans. And our hearts bleed red, white, and blue. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And Indiana, together, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Indiana. Thank you.